Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Thanks so much for joining us here on a Wednesday. We'll give a couple minutes for everyone to jump in and kind of get settled. Excited to have this conversation with everyone here, and it should be a good one. So we'll get started here shortly. Um, Real quick intro on my end. My name is Min. I am at Handshake as a product marketing manager. And we have two incredible people here joining kind of our conversation around skills building. So we'll introduce them here in a bit, but so excited to have you all in here. I am in New York, and while we're waiting for everyone to join, a fun fact about kind of working at Handshake is one of the best things that I love about being able to work at Handshake is meeting incredible students. A lot of you all are joining here. And then in prep for this webinar, I had a chance to meet both Samari and Sophia, and they are insanely incredible. So I'm excited to share some of their, or excited for this conversation for them to be able to share some of their thoughts. And so we'll get started here and let's jump right into it. So, as I mentioned, my name is Min. I am on Handshake's end. One, thank you so much for joining us. A quick lay of the land today. So, what you all can expect is we'll spend about 30 minutes kind of in our discussion with both Mari and Sophia here, and save about 10 minutes at the end for your questions. So please feel free to drop them in the Q&A box at any time. We won't cover them like during the discussion, but afterwards we'll pull out some as much Q&A and we'll try and cover as much as we can in those 10 minutes during our Q&A session. The session is also being recorded and will ultimately be shared via email and as well on the Handshake blog. So please keep an eye out for that afterwards. If you want to rewatch it, if you want to share it with a friend, highly encourage you to do that. We're super proud to be hosting today's event in partnership with our friends over at IBM SkillsBuild, which is a free online education course for anyone looking to develop job skills, courses, and credentials for basically some of today's most in-demand technical skills. Specifically today, we're going to talk about how you can identify which skills can make you a more competitive candidate to prospective employers. How you can also leverage courses on IBM Skills Build to develop them, and also why it's important for people from every major background to focus on building their technical skills. So I hyped them up a little bit, but let's get to our panelists. Um, we'll have you say hello and give us a quick kind of intro about yourself. Sophia, I'll have you start.
Hey everybody, I'm Sophia. Thank you, Min, for the introduction. I'm from Gannett University, so that's in Erie, Pennsylvania, and I'm studying management and Spanish. So I'm pretty involved on campus, but what really brought me to IBM Skills Build was my job at the Writing and Research Center. So I'll be talking a lot kind of about how writing and business kind of go together with AI. So I'm super excited.
Yay, incredible. And then Samari, I will turn it over to you.
Hey everybody, my name is Samari Howard. I have a bachelor's in computer science at Albany State University, and I played a lot of sports growing up. And after that, after the sports, I transitioned more into the teaching side, and now I'm an IT instructor at the Turner Job Corps Center, and I'm glad to be here.
Love that. Like I said, two very incredible people. I'm so excited to jump into this conversation. But first, let's start at looking at how the hiring market is changing. I know that's top of mind for a lot of our students, and I hear that pretty much almost every day, kind of in my role. And students are adding more tech skills to their resumes, and employers are also asking for them more than ever. This change is probably most obvious with AI skills. I think everyone has heard of AI skills, AI in the workplace. On the employer side, job postings mentioning generative AI specifically have increased 5x since 2023, and 4x for internships. For job seekers, which all of you are, mentions of AI on resumes have doubled since 2021, with the class of 2026 including AI at twice the rate of the class of 2022. And it's also not just tech majors, business, communications, and even art and design students are joining in, as well as many more students from kind of any background that you can imagine. Our partners at IBM SkillsBuild have also shared with us that the top courses on their platform include the Introduction to Artificial Intelligence, Introduction to Large Language Models, and Mastering the Art of Promoting or of Prompting courses. It's clear that these skills and the need for them aren't going anywhere. So let's talk about why people from different majors are focusing on developing these skills. We have students from student and former student from very different backgrounds. And so Samari, I'll start with you. You studied computer science. Most people probably think that AI is really most helpful to write code. Um, but obviously you've been kind of experimenting and leveraging AI in somewhat different ways. Can you tell us, one, how did you use AI when you were a student versus now how you're using it in your professional career? And so we'll start with that.
Yeah, so when I first started college, AI wasn't really like that big of a thing. I really wish it was because it would have helped me out my first 2 years. Definitely would have had some better grades. But after my junior year, that's when AI really started to kickstart, and changed my major from physical therapy to computer science. And what I noticed was like with the help of AI, just things became easier. A lot of thinking, a lot of critical thinking was like the time that it took from like 4 hours to 3 hours, like would minimize to like 30 minutes. And it leaves me more time to actually focus on my work and perfecting like what I was able to do and giving me ideas I couldn't even think of doing, like coding, creating websites, databases, and my essays. Um, so I think what it did was it helped amplify all my work, and especially if you learn from it and not just copy and pasted your my work, it helped with my exams as well.
I love that. And how has that shifted, or is it still very similar with how you're kind of using it in your professional career now that you've graduated school and like have entered the workforce?
Hmm. It transition kind of similar. It's now from doing like coursework to doing projects for companies, and being able to like help others and think of ideas that would help boost the company's efficiency and the workload for others. Um, I think what is it's led to is leaving as in like instructor now. It's led me to have more time to actually have one-on-one conversations with the students and be able to help them with specific stuff. And where it would have took me hours to create a not the curriculum, but just the some daily exercises for them. And now I'm able to have more time with them, and we're able to do fun activities that I wasn't even thinking of. So I think it's completely changed the game for me.
Love that. The ability to now have a little bit more time to not maybe necessarily focus on like some of the nitty-gritty stuff, but then be able to have more time on your end to be able to do stuff, to do other things. And so Sophia, I will turn it to you now. As someone in a non-technical major, why did you end up prioritizing learning how to use AI and like the specific AI tools?
Well, first of all, I think AI is everywhere. I think we can all agree with that. But mainly, kind of what I see it as is number one, a resume builder. And then number two, when you actually get into your job, like the skills you kind of maintain from that is so important because being in a language major and also a business major, there's soft skills included in that. So to be able to include something quantifiable on your resume is extremely important because a lot of employers now, even using AI to screen resumes, they look for numbers and they look for data that you're able to pull off. And it's something you can say in an interview. So to be able to get more of those technical skills, even though I'm interested in soft skills as well, is super fun. And then more to kind of what Samari was saying is that it automates tasks for you and in business and things like that. There's things that we could be focusing on other than automating these tasks. Like in my Spanish courses, I know like we learn about transcription apps that do it live. And I'm never going to have that skill. That's just not going to happen as fast as that. So to be able to focus on how can we get this to a community or how can we make it accessible for people rather than actually reinventing the wheel because I feel like that's a lot of kind of the resistance to AI. So for me, you don't have to be technical. I'm not technical, but to be able to recognize that it's everywhere, I think is just really important.
Yeah, and I love that idea of like making it accessible for anyone that's like really interested in leveraging some of these skills and learning some of these things. And so you mentioned that you work at the Writing Center at your school. Love that. To help teach other students how to use AI responsibly. What are some of the biggest hurdles that you see people reach when they are trying to learn how to use AI responsibly? And how are you kind of getting them through and over some of those hurdles?
Yeah. So I've always loved writing, and it's kind of been a journey to recognize that not everyone does love writing and to be able to teach people and coach people through that. And I'd say with the rise of AI, people have been wondering like they feel like they might be cheating or they're doing it wrong and they are scared to come in when we're all students. We're a resource. So that's one stigma I feel like is around it, is that people are doing it wrong or they're cheating or not using their resources wisely. And then I think another thing is that people don't want to ask for help then, and they also think that their professors want this 100% generated writing. They think they want this like all of these facts when in reality I have a freshman English teacher as my boss. She wants is for students to kind of put in an effort and show their voice, but at the same time, you're able to see that these AI tools can help a student, oh, create an outline, oh, gather some ideas. I mean, I used to sit in my like in 8th grade, just sit there and try to come up with an introduction for my essay over and over when really I could be automating that and working on my points and things like that. But I'd say the biggest hurdles are definitely fear from students and also just they don't know what their professors want. They feel like their voice isn't good enough.
Yeah, and you touched on this a little bit, but I wonder if you can kind of quickly dig a little bit deeper. But what are some of the benefits that, when someone that you're working with or like a student that you're helping, what are some of the benefits when they do learn like responsible use of AI? You touched a
Yeah.
little bit on like being able to help find their voice a little bit more. Or any other benefits?
Yeah. I think like the number one criticism people have about it, like students losing their voice, I think that's completely false, and that it really does help them find their voice because they're able to gain confidence. And then at the end of the day, it's going to prepare them for workplaces because, like we said, it's everywhere, and you're going to graduate someday and have to kind of like even send out communications and things like that. People use AI to even find words to use. Like we're not all dictionaries, so to be able to kind of do that, and then I think too, it's just really valuable to share this with other young people because we're starting off with an advantage. Like our parents don't understand what's going on. Like a lot of the time, at least mine don't. So to be able to have that advantage, like I don't want to lose that. So to be able to kind of leverage this technology in a way, it's really cool to be able to do that for people.
I love that. And similar to Samari, what you said earlier, I wish I had some of these
Right.
skills and these
Exactly.
resources when I was in school. That would have helped so much.
This next
Um,
generation will not understand the struggles of not being able to use AI. They will not understand it.
yeah, it would have came in clutch when I was in school. And so we touched a little bit on the why around like the need for some of these technical skills, some of the like the needs for, developing some of these. So let's talk about how you can actually develop them in a practical sense, even if they're not part of your school curriculum. Sophia, I'll stay with you for this one. And so you mentioned you discovered skills builds through your school writing center. What was the first course that you took, and what stood out about the experience?
Yeah. So the first one I took was just the introductory, like the getting started with AI, and it changed like everything for me because number one, I bet Samari can talk to this, like the technical side of things. It's so cool. Even though I don't consider myself a technical person, kind of starting to understand like the how of AI, like what is this? It's really cool, but what's going on? That was really fascinating for me too. And then I think too, it really helped me start to like be confident about discussing it with other people because up until then, it was kind of just this chatbot that I could talk to and it would give me things that like sounded right. So once I was kind of able to see, oh, how does this actually work? Like, how can I use this? It really gave me confidence to actually start even being curious about it because once you're kind of seeing, like, oh, other people are curious about this too, there's sources I can look at. I just think the introduction is so important and a really good course to take.
Yeah. And then, okay, so speaking of that, one of the things that I think came up whenever we were chatting before getting ready for this webinar is that you explored the AI in healthcare course, even though your major is nowhere near healthcare. How did that open your eyes to essentially just applying AI outside of maybe your field of focus, your major? Yeah, how did that help?
I think it was really cool to kind of see like it's everywhere. Like even if you don't even work anymore, like you go to a hospital, you have doctor's appointments and like AI is going to be there. So being able to understand it and kind of understand what's going on there is so important. And for me, like to even I think it really just destigmatizes the use because I a specific example is it was they were using it to transport like high security drugs and they were using a robot. So the security of that is like insanely higher than a person, but a lot of people like at first hear of that they would be so like turned off by that. So to be able to kind of know the why behind things and start to understand, I think a lot of it is really just a lack of understanding. So that was really cool for me because a lot of my friends are health majors, but I am not.
Kudos to the curiosity.
Right.
I respect, mad respect.
I know.
And then Samari, so you have earned several skills build badges, and are also now an IBM ambassador. What first drew you to the platform, and which courses or certifications have had the biggest impact for you?
Um, I guess what the biggest one would have to be, I would have to say artificial intelligence with fundamentals in oh my God, I should know this by heart. I think it was data science and enterprise. It was data science and enterprise companies. It's something like that. I should know by heart. But those ones really let like the AI fundamentals really let me know like exactly what AI is from the start to like to the end, and then what it's capable of doing in the future. Um, Getting started with enterprise data science. Thank you, Dr. Melinda. Thank you. I that and then that badge helped me know like what is the impact of data science and data analytics inside of companies? Like how do they come up with this information, and what is the purpose of all of the data? Is it just for statistics? Is it for efficiency? Is it for business wise? Is as far as we need to start moving products here because all this other stuff. And those courses, they just help you. No, you got to have a curiosity for it, but it helps you. There's so many insights to a lot of things, and you're just like, how does this work? And then you find like for instance, like actually looking at a website, you know how the website is created, and you're just like, oh wow, this is just a bunch of coding. Like I can actually do this if I really wanted to. And then you start building on that curiosity and then those skills, and then you just keep adding to it. And then eventually, the sky's the limit at that point.
Yeah, and then what ultimately brought you to IBM Skills Build in the first place? Like, what about the platform that you're like, oh, this is very exciting. Like, I'm so excited to explore more courses, dive deeper, and see more of what like Skills Build has to offer.
Okay, I love telling this story. So it was my junior year of college, and I just got into computer science really, and I had no idea what computer science was. I had no idea about what were the different aspects of computer science, the data, the cybersecurity, the web, and anything. I didn't know anything about it. But we had a webinar, or we had a webinar at Albany State, and Valinda Kennedy came to Albany State, and I was one of my philosophies has been, attend anything that's free, just go to it. You never know what you can learn, and you never know what doors may open. So I was like, you know what, I'll go. And just I don't know why I got starstruck because I had no idea who she was, but when she came in, I had I couldn't ask her any questions. She asked me what my name was, and I couldn't even give her my name. And it was seeing the passion she had for us and telling us what IBM Skills Build can do for us and everything we can learn from it. And the fact that it was free, I was like, there's nothing in life is free. Nothing in life is really free. But when it comes to IBM Skills Build, it is the one thing in life I can actually say is free and can add to so much in your life, both intellectually, professionally, and academically. But just seeing the passion she had for us and just telling us, just like, please, just do it. Just please, just do one. And I started out the same as Sophia. I started out with the getting started with AI, and after that, I mean, I fell in love with IBM SkillsBuild. And even after I've gotten like job opportunities, I'm still getting more badges. And I'm telling my students like, hey, get these badges.
Yes, I love that. And well, I want to touch on that a little bit because I think one of the coolest things that like whenever we were chatting and like that I learned about you, Samari, is one of the things that you're doing right now is like you're pouring back into students and helping other students like get started, get familiar with some of these skills, get familiar with the platform. What's been really the most rewarding piece about that experience for you?
What I think it's seeing the same passion that I had after I got the first badge and just seeing that in someone else. And it's like when you tell somebody about a movie and and then they go and watch it and they come back and tell you like, oh, this part was great. This part was great. It's like exactly. And it's the same aspect. I love seeing them come up to me and say, I learned this about this badge and I learned this about AI. I didn't know this is how the websites work. And just knowing that you are a positive impact on them, and just that's all I can ask for as a teacher and as an instructor is just being a positive impact on them.
I love that. And what a great analogy. Like whenever you share a movie with someone and you're like so e the next thing you do is you're so eager to see what they think and like how interested they were in that same movie. So what a great analogy. And great perspectives from both of you. So Samari, Sophia, incredible perspectives. And I think it's really clear that really no matter what field that you're looking to enter, having AI skills is so important, and especially if you're someone that just wants to learn more about AI in the general job landscape, there's a great IBM Skills Build course that you can take. Not right now, right after this webinar, called "Your Future in AI: The Job Landscape," and our team is going to drop that in the chat right now. So highly recommend you all if there's a hey, if there's a question around like, hey, which maybe course should I take? Some of the courses that maybe Samari and Sophia have touched on, but also this one could be a really good step into getting yourself familiar. Um, and so I want to shift gears a little bit and let's talk about why continuing to upskill matters at every stage of your career. Samari, obviously you've graduated. Sophia, you're getting ready to graduate. And one of the things that we found is our research has shown that 73% of employers say entry-level talent is more comfortable with emerging tech than senior employees. And that kind of touches on a little bit on what we've been chatting about of like, you know, this generation and your guys' generation is the one that's growing up with these technologies and like getting exposed to these tools at such an early age. And 83% agree, so 83% of employers agree that those hires are critical to the future success of their business. And so while it may not seem like it, a lot of times what we're finding is a lot of our students are entering their first or second jobs out of college, and they're making a lot of impact with the help of some of these tools and with the help of some of the learnings that they're able to pick up from some of these tools. And so while AI and data skills are in really high demand, I think the bigger story is this idea of being adaptable, and the bigger story of being adaptability. Is being someone who learns proactively, think critically, and communicates effectively, and that's also just as valuable as like the technical know-how. So you guys mentioned a little bit about soft skills, and I think those are some of the biggest ones. Is like one, just figuring out how to communicate effectively to one another is such an incredible skill to have. And so I'll have this question for both of you guys. Sophia, I'll start with you, but how do you personally prioritize learning new skills alongside kind of the other commitments that you have around school, work, your personal life, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, that's such a great question because I know everyone is so busy and it's kind of hard when you have so many different kind of like hats to put on and to be able to actually prioritize your own like development even when it's not required for you. So I'd say I try to integrate it into my life and I have people that I tell. Like I have people that I update on my progress. So I have an internship that's completely unrelated, and I'll tell my manager about what I'm doing, and she'll know to check in on me about some things, even just friends. So to be able to kind of hold yourself accountable and let people know what you're doing, but at the same time, it gives you a sense of achievement because you're getting to share that with other people. And I think that's wonderful. And then also just taking some time during the day. It doesn't have to be an hour long, 2 hour long, 3 hour long course. The course that we're talking about is around 40 to 50 minutes. So I'm sure you can find maybe at night, even in your bed on your computer, like you can find the time to be able to just, I think just repurposing time instead of trying to build new time out of your schedule. Just always take something as an opportunity for growth, I think is the most important thing.
Love that. Samari, same question for you. How do you balance the picking up of new skills?
Um, I guess I just prioritize it by I really just getting 1% better every single day. That's really just been one of my philosophies I've been teaching to my students and just, family and friends. And you can learn anything at any time. And it doesn't, like she said, it doesn't take all day. It doesn't take an hour. Just simply learning something every single day um, can help you. You never know what that information can help with, whether that's with a scenario, a job task, or just coursework. If you're a student, you never know what it could help with. And I think it's a great thing just to learn a new skill. And like I said, you never know what it can help with.
Yeah, and sometimes it really comes down to just curiosity. I think like Sophia, to the example that you said, you were just curious because you had a bunch of friends in the medical field and you're like, I'm going to take this AI course. And sometimes that curiosity, you kind of stumble into something and you're like, oh, this is actually really fascinating. And that kind of gets you hooked on to like wanting to learn more and wanting to dive into similar topics. And so I think I love that. And so Mari, I'll stick with you for this question. What's one technical or digital skill that you are really hoping to build next? What's on that list?
Oh wow. What is not on the list? Um, there are a few projects that I'm really trying to help create is like the next step for AI. Like that's been one of my main things is trying to create like my idea of what I'm thinking of is just how we have Siri if you think of like any like futuristic movie, how we have there's always like a robot just there and it's always there as like an assistant. It sets alarms. It just makes sure that you know things. I want to be able to like just start the beginning step of that. I know that's like 10, 20 years, 30 years down the road, but I'm aiming big when it comes to AI because you never know what can happen with that. And then as far as like right now, something I am creating is a grid watch. It's just seeing like where can be the next spot we can build something to as like a data center as far as like resources in around the US and just like good areas to build new stuff that will help the community and be able to help bring more job opportunities to the areas.
I love that. You're constantly trying to pour back into the community. I think that's honestly one of the most like I think one of the coolest things that anyone can possibly do is like figuring out how can I help and be a part of like getting other students and getting my community like kind of up to speed on this. Sophia, similar question to you for you. So what are some of the technical or digital skills that you're hoping to build next? And maybe the question should have been what's not on the list to Samari's point. But what are you looking to learn? What's next?
No, exactly. That's like when while Samari was talking, like everything he says sounds so interesting. And something a little bit technical that I want to maybe try. I know there's a chatbot creator, IBM SkillsBuild, of course, which I think would be really cool to see the inner workings of that because I'm a beginner in the technical side. So that's one thing. And then I encourage everyone who thinks they're not technical to look into prompt engineering. That's super interesting to me because I love writing, and my boss at the writing center, I'm going to steal this from her, is basically said like prompt engineering is an art, and it's a language, and it's something that you can look up and dissect, and a lot of the time what you feed into AI is what's going to make it helpful for you. So that's something that's super interesting to me, and it's on the technical side, but it also kind of allows you room for creativity and to see like, I mean, if you told an actual person, like an assistant, that it's kind of when you're in grade school and the teacher does like the peanut butter jelly thing, if anyone knows what that is, where you like had to write down all the steps, like things like that. So it kind of training your mind to actually dive into what you need. And I think that encourages critical thinking. So that's a plug for that.
That's fantastic. And actually that got me thinking of another question that I wanted to ask you, Sophia,
Yeah.
specifically is you kind of mentioned like you're wanting to start to dive into a little bit more of the technical space as someone coming from a non-tech background. So what would you say to other students that are like in a similar position where they're wanting to dive more into that, maybe hesitant for whatever reason, maybe thinking maybe the thought is like, I'm not technical, I'm not in a technical background, this isn't for me. What would you say to that student, and what's helped you kind of get past that yourself?
Yeah, well, I'd say kind of how we were talking about earlier with like people, it gives us an advantage as young people. I think at the place I entered at over the summer, like the young people are looked to for this technology and for even just a basic understanding, and not even to understand the back end of it all. If you're in business or if in your language, they just look for curiosity kind of overall, like we're saying. And we are at the forefront of being able to help them with these things. Like we can jump so much higher just because we even have a familiarity with it, and you can like spearhead projects and things like that. I'm sure Samari has kind of like the same experience. It's really cool to have to grow up with it, and then to be able to kind of have a familiarity with it that you can kind of jump on projects. So I say that's the most important thing, and it doesn't have to be technical. It can be a resource. It can be to automate a process that you do. You do not have to code it. You can use it. I promise. So that's what I have to say for that.
I love it. And honestly, a lot of the times it's not as scary as
Right.
you thought. Like you jump into it and you're like, oh, this is a little bit simpler than I thought. It just
Yes.
takes a little bit of time and to just get up to speed on maybe some of the lingo,
Right. Yes.
some of the work. But once you get up there and you're like, oh, this is not bad. Okay, I love that. Really enjoyed the conversation that we all three were able to have. So, firstly, thank you. We had a lot of really good questions come through, so I want to make sure we try and cover as much of that as possible. Um, First one being, and Samari, I will have you lead us off here. Which soft skills do you think are the most beneficial, or what have been? Let me rephrase that in a way in terms of what soft skills have been the most beneficial for you as someone that just recently graduated, and have kind of that perspective of both the student and recent grads really fresh in your mind?
Oh wow, yeah, that is a good question. I would have to say just communication, just being able to have a conversation with somebody. Whether it's that's having curiosity in what they're talking about, or that's just, getting to actually know who they are. That has been one thing I've done with my interviews is I'm always thinking it's going to be nervous, they're going to be in suits and they're going to ask strict questions, this. But it's always just a conversation. And then it's crazy. Like we always end about just talking about life and just talking about regular things. I'm just like, wow, that was a great interview.
No, that's great. And I think every time we do all of these webinars, and I think every time we talk about soft skills or non-technical skills, I think one of the things that always comes up is this communication, the teamwork, and honestly, just like this idea of like being curious about things. And at the end of the day, we're all humans. We all want to talk to another person about something that we're interested in, and I think that's a part of it. Sophia, I'll actually let you answer this too, because you touched a little bit on this during our discussion. But what soft skills have you personally found to be some of the most beneficial for you?
I definitely love Samari's call out of communication, especially because you think about CEOs of companies and they're in meetings all day. And a lot of the time, the technical skills are going to get you where you want to go, and they're going to be so helpful. But when you're at really the top, like you're going to be meeting with people and you're going to be communicating. And a lot of the time they work all day. Like Samari said, they want to have a connection with someone. They're going to remember you kind of to be able to like make a connection with you. They'll remember a lot of the stories from your interviews and things like that rather than all of the things on your resume. So I think communication is really important along with collaboration and being able to work with people who are from different backgrounds and from different places than you and be able to kind of create something and go for one goal. So definitely, that's a really good question.
Fantastic. And Sophia, I'll stick with you on this, given some of your work with the school, with your school's writing center. So we actually got this question from a student, or from a student. So, is it acceptable to use AI to enhance your written work? For example, I'm not a writing major and I write fairly well, but I like focusing on my core information of the report or journal that I'm putting together. Can I use AI to enhance my written work to make it more cohesive? What are your thoughts as someone
This
in that space?
This is a great question. I love this. It's really important, I think, to just encourage conversation, especially with students, because we're all students and we all use it as a resource. So, for me personally, at my university, so it started a couple years ago, kind of putting out messaging about AI. And we're at a place now where professors are able to, you're able to go to professors and kind of ask them rather than it being more of like a no, don't do that. No, don't plagiarize, which it's not. So for me, I think the number one thing would be to ask your professor and talk to them. I think I think it's getting more accepted to be able to go to professors and kind of collaborate with them and explain. And I would number 2 want to be able to be clear on what you're asking, be clear on what exactly you want to use it for because like you're saying like you're not an English major, it's so helpful to be able to put your ideas together. I just think ultimately being able to be transparent and have these conversations is the most important thing. We're kind of developing certain ways to be able to go to your professor and like cohesive ways for that. So honestly, if you kind of get into that, I think that would encourage a lot of professors to be able to start thinking of it differently and be able to kind of create something for students to use. So that's a great question. I think it's case by case, but obviously explore on your own and be able to see kind of how you can use it in your life. So it's a great question.
Yeah. Yeah, no, fantastic question for sure. So, Mari, I also am very curious at your perspective on this. Obviously, you are not a writing major, you're technical, kind of technical background. What are your thoughts on like kind of the idea of is it acceptable to use AI to enhance like written work that maybe you're working on?
I think as long as you're learning from it and you're not just copying and pasting the work, I think it's a great idea. It's just like going to your the writing center. It's just like going to the writing center, honestly, but you just don't have to leave your dorm. So if you're feeling lazy, I feel like this is a great asset to have.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I think the one thing that we always try and push is like, using it responsibly means that this is hopefully a start for what you're looking to do. And to Samari, your point, it's not a copy and paste. Like I'm just gonna put in a prompt, paste it, whatever it gets back to me. I want to get a good start and I want to be able to start to inject some of my voice in this. Samari, I'll stick with you for this next question, because I think you, out of all of us, might have the most badges and or courses completed as a part of IBM Skills Build. So, what's the best way that you've been able to translate, an IBM Skills Build badge or you completing a course into kind of your resume or maybe even like an interview setting? What's the best way that's like worked for you?
Wow, that's a good question. For me, the badges have been kind of like pedestals for me. Before I started using the badges and I started applying to jobs, a lot of employers, if they would give me an answer back, would be like, you seem like someone who's passionate about computer science, but how do we know you know about computer science? And it would have been great if I would have had my bachelor's by then, but I was like a junior and I needed some source of income. So what helped with those badges was once I started getting like more and more badges, I started getting better answers from employers from unfortunately we can't accept you to, you know what, we'll keep your resume on doc just in case. And then a few interviews came from it. And then once that first job hit, everything just kind of, it was like a snowball effect. More and more job opportunities came. And I think what they help you do is they just help help bring up your resume because like it helps separates you from the people who don't have those certifications on their resume. So I think it's just a I think it just adds a bunch of skills to your resume.
No, I absolutely love that. And Sophia, I want to pose the same question, but I'll slightly rephrase it. Um, you're a junior, you're getting ready to enter you're getting ready, next year will be your last year in school. How are you starting to, take some of what you're learning through IBM Skills Build, some of the badges that you're earning, the courses that you're taking? How are you starting to think about using that as you prep for, finding that role after you graduate?
No, that's a great question. I think kind of going back to what I said earlier, it's quantifiable hours that you can put on your resume. It's time outside of class, it's time outside of like allotted work, things like that, that you can, number one, put on a resume and say, hey, I did this many hours of something outside of my course. So I think that's like fantastic to be able to put because I think a lot of us have those skills at the bottom of our resume. So it's really cool to be able to have something to show for them, kind of like Samari was saying. And then I think too, it always gives you something to talk about in an interview. There's nothing wrong with having so many things to pull from in an interview. If a lot of people like it's great to be well rounded and to be able to pull, oh, in this scenario I did this. I learned something new here. So I think just being able to apply it like wherever, whether it's on my resume and then when you actually get into the interview, they've already seen those numbers on your resume. So to be able to kind of put a story to them, I think is a lot of fun and I'm definitely looking forward to that.
That's fantastic. And I know this is also in the chat, but I do want to call this out because I think one of the really cool things as a part of like some of the courses within IBM Skills Build is the simulations within the courses. I think Tamari, Sophia, both of you all have taken courses, so you all are very familiar with these simulations. But I think one of the things that it does allow, anyone taking a course to do is to directly apply what you've learned. I mean, I think that skill is always so valuable in anytime you're in an interview is like not only saying what skills you have, but then being able to articulate and being able to put a little bit of that in practice of some of those skills during the interview. And you have a little bit of that through some of these through the IBM skills build courses. To be able to get some of that practice to just set you up, and it's such a good spot for an interview. Um, okay, I know we are almost short on time, so I have one question, or two final questions, and Samari, Sophia, we'll quick fire this, so we'll rapid fire this. Samari, I'll start with you. Um, what is the most common mistake that you've seen students, whether you're working with them, whether maybe you've made it yourself, when students showcase AI skills on kind of a resume or assignment, and how would you have recommended them to fix
Wow, we actually just did this today.
that?
What it is like a pet peeve is using AI as an answer to an assignment. And like I'm your teacher, I know how you write. So it's like I know you don't use parentheses and the dashes and stuff. So it's like at least write it in your own words if you're gonna use AI.
Love that. Short and sweet. Sophia,
I'm
any
gonna
thoughts on
say
that?
when you're talking about AI in interviews, like or even anything, hype yourself up and don't sell yourself short because what you're doing is awesome, and that's why employers bring you in to talk about it. So your resume can say one thing, but hype yourself up, and it's pretty cool what you're doing if you're taking some courses. So yeah.
I love that. Okay, final question, I promise. Fun one though. Are the panelists being open to being added on LinkedIn? Samari,
Of
is someone you got a
course,
shout
of
out
course.
in the
Yes.
Q&A. Samari's technical aspirations are so interesting to me, and I'd love to connect and talk more after this. Um, that sounds like a yes from both of you on the LinkedIn ask.
Definitely.
I love it. Okay. So we are pretty much right on time. One, thank you both, Samari and Sophia, for the time and all the insights, and thank you everyone here for not only attending but also, giving us really great questions to kind of try and dig deeper into it. Um, Thank you to our incredible partners over at IBM SkillsBuild today for helping kind of make helpful resources available for people ready to learn. As I mentioned, that course, please find some time to take it. It's incredible, and I think it's a really great intro into kind of the IBM Skills Build world. And also, again, thank you for everyone who asked the question and tuned in. I hope this has been extremely insightful for you all. Don't forget to use the links in the chat to register for IBM Skills Build today, and then follow both IBM Skills Build and Handshake to learn more about future events like this. And we'll also share these links via email. So anyone that wants to rewatch it, you'll have access to this. But again, thank you so much, Samari, Sophia. You both are incredible. Thank you so much for the time. Thanks everyone for attending, and we will see you at the next event that we have. Bye, everyone.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.